Hey everybody. You know, do you ever get this feeling that you're just kind of sick of it, of what you see on TV, like it's like as if it represents the norm, and you know it's far from the norm. Or you see on any like social media sometimes people doing bizarre things. I'm not talking, maybe I shouldn't say bizarre things, but they're just doing things that used to be that would be, somebody would say, no, you don't do that, that's rude, or that's you don't talk bad about people in the way of malicious gossip. Or I've seen some of those channels that people, they're just bad mouthing one another, just going crazy. And for a while there, these were people who were making a lot of money off of doing it, bad mouthing one another, gossip channels, that kind of thing. And they still are, I don't know. But, and then there are people doing despicable things, going to food pantries when they have the money, just so they can go and take vacations, expensive vacations, or buy a new vehicle. They don't care what are they doing, lying to get it, talking about how much money they don't have, and they're lying. I Googled that before here in the United States, and there's some situations. I'm not a lawyer or anything like that, so I don't know myself. I'm not a voice of authority, but I Googled it, and there apparently are some situations where that can put them in prison. Yeah, I'm not talking to go to jail, prison. Yeah. And anyway, but aren't you kind of getting tired of it? Doesn't it seem like stuff, just bizarre stuff, is saturated? It's overly done. It's been too much. And I am not new to this planet at all. I'm a social and behavioral scientist, in fact. And I say that because you need to know that. Where am I getting it from? And I've also lived in the real world, And I've been on social media. I had my first computer in 1982. So I'm not new to this. Seeing it, TV, I really wasn't much one on watching TV. I was too much into computers when I was young. And by the way, today is my 63rd birthday. And 63, yeah. Anyway, I'm not new to this planet. I know how it is. I know that's stuff like that is what sells, especially the past, I don't know how many years. People who watch it, quite often I've noticed that they, see, I don't want to insult the people who watch it, but I don't know, some of these people that you get online and people are bad mouthing other people, and some of them actually will say that they are Christians. Is really, that's your version of Christian, is to sit there and make, oh yay, you tell them that stuff to people who are bad mouthing and gossiping and malicious gossip about other people, and you're in their chat, man, you're just having a blast, yet you're calling yourself a Christian. And what was Christianity all about again? Peace, love, mercy, grace, these kinds of things. It's not about bad mouthing people. In fact, things like gossip is frowned upon. Things like grifting is frowned upon. You see, things like when people are hurting their neighbor, you love that, and you don't love thy neighbor, frowned upon. So, when you see things that are twisted like that, people just twist them up. Oh, I like it when they're all salty and sassy, and have you noticed that some people, they just love the S words. Every S word they can come up with. Salty, sassy. I need to make a list. I had actually started a list one time, and I think I had 8 on it at that point. But like sarcastic, what are the other ones? My goodness, when I need them, they're not there. But you get the point. You like somebody when they're salty, sassy, and you say you're Christian and you think they are, and you give them money so they can continue to grift and say they don't have money for food, and when they have plenty, they go and spend money, and then they cuss out their audience to dare to say something to them. You know? Aren't you just tired of it? Aren't you just tired of it? I mean, whatever happened to good wholesomeness? No, really, seriously, people being, living a good, decent life, treating their partner in a good, decent way, their husband or wife. Whatever happened to that? Some people say, well, that was never really true. Why? Why do you say that? Why? Because it wasn't true for you? It could be true for other people. But you're not going to see that because it's not bizarre enough. It's not weird enough. It doesn't make them get so thrilled because they're the people who there's something called Schadenfreude, and there's also sadism. I mean, some people they get a thrill, and I'm not talking like that kind of thrill, but just watching somebody else's misfortune, just watching somebody else get told off, just watching somebody else who has an attitude and shakes their head back and forth, and I'm going to tell you what to do. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm going to cuss you out. I'm going to talk bad about you. And a lot of people really like the ones I've noticed more the past few years. There's too many people really like the ones that are, who really know how to tell, to say to their audience what the audience wants to hear. Like the people who do their food delivery, and the people who are doing the food delivery are often their viewers. Okay, they might not put their own videos up, but they watch the people who do, and the comments, some of them are dark. I mean, some of them are scary dark. But they're going to blame these drivers, whether it's the person doing the video, the person in the audience, the people in the audience. They're going to say it's the food delivery services problem. They're at fault. It's the restaurants. Let's say they do pick up restaurants. It's their fault. They're bad. All these people are bad, and the customers are bad. But the drivers are angelic in their eyes. They're just pure angels. As they show as they're driving down the road, and they're parking in disabled parking spots. They're not disabled. Or they're driving down the road and they're running red lights, stop signs, turning the wrong way, going the wrong way down the wrong road. Like I said, and sometimes it's not even parking in a for disabled. They just park where it says no parking, and then they get mad that they get a ticket. It's somebody else's fault. Their audience needs to pay for it. Some of the things these people actually get an attitude like their audience has to pay for them. For them to do these. Nobody asked you to do it. Nobody. But they think the audience has. One of them was I think she's revving up again. She's trying to say that God has told her that she should not be working, and that she hints at it, that her audience would have to support her financially, and the means she feels most comfortable, and she feels she needs a lot of money, and they need to be paying her, because if not, they're not true Christians. That's how she's trying to set it up. How people say it, but they don't exactly say those exact words. Indirectly, she keeps hinting. And she had started doing that I'd say 2 or 3 months ago. And she stopped for a while, and now she's starting up again. Seriously. But aren't you tired of all this? Aren't you really tired of like I said, the people who go to food banks, the people who they do things that are wrong and bad, and it's overly saturated. Seriously. When do you ever just turn on the TV and hear a good story. You know, hear somebody's triumphing, you know, and they're not having to step on anybody to get there. They worked hard, they made it, you know what I'm saying? Whatever, hard and smart. Like I said, Adam and I, we didn't work hard, we didn't work just smart, we worked hard and smart to get ourselves to where we are now, comfortable. We weren't comfortable when we were younger, let me tell you. Our first anniversary / Valentine's Day, it wasn't the same day, but close enough. He had 25 cents to go and buy me a little box of sweet tarts for both. That's how rough we had it. I remember what was weird was back then was a soda and pack of cigarettes was about the same price, and we would go to the store and we'd have enough money, we had to make a decision, you know, which one of those we were going to get. I'm not kidding. Neither one of them was good for us, you know. I don't drink sugar. I haven't drank, like that's how I put it. I don't drink sugar. I don't drink anything with sugar in it, and I haven't since I was like 24, 25 years old. Today, like I said, I'm 63. So, and I don't miss it at all. And I don't miss all that weight that it put on me either at all. So, anyway, but I wrote a little bit of notes. Let me see. Oh, and I was going to give a lame example of something else. You know, when people do things like, you know, we know, if you're raised in, say, you know, United States, Texas, I know this, the schools here, I don't know about other schools in other states, but here in Texas, I've been to enough of them, and it seems like this is a norm. It might be a norm now over the whole United States, I don't know. But you learn things like starting in elementary school, pre-K even. You, or before, you know, these, you know, when you're in daycare, you learn things like stand in line and wait your turn. Right? How many of us remember hearing those exact words? Raise your hand, raise your hand. You know, I was a career student for over 20 years at university. And when I was an undergraduate, I did not do substitute teaching. I earned my bachelor's degree in a double major, and I started substitute teaching. I loved it. I really did. And I did every grade, every pre-K through after 12th grade. And it was called some special kind of program that was for people with disabilities. And they went to school, I think, 4 more years. And after high school, you know, parents could have them there. And then I taught at college and university all the way up to senior year. Okay, and I did not teach as a substitute. I don't think there is a thing as a substitute. I think the TAs and then the MAs, is it MA or GA? Yeah, they do it. Teaching assistant, and then graduate assistant, something like that. I could be wrong. It's been so many years. But anyway, I was telling that story for a reason now. Okay. And then I looked down at what I had written, and it's something totally different. Okay. I'm still looking at it, but where did I start off with that? You know, that of teaching, and that is something that, you know, we taught. I liked working when I was doing the substitute teaching. Usually I liked doing math. That's teaching math, and that's middle school. High school was not my favorite. For a while there, you know, I liked each one of them. Each, you know, teaching this, you know, high school teaching, you know, middle school. There's even freshman center. There's elementary school. Each one, at the end, I liked more like teaching elementary school kids. And math was my thing, and I liked, well, it wasn't exactly like inner city like some would think, but I liked to teach children who were kind of disadvantaged in a way. And I even did a program through my university to help kids too. These different kinds of things, and social and behavioral scientists. So yeah, but we start early, teaching them stand in line and wait your turn. And when they're kids in elementary school, there was also something that called it buckle and bubble. I don't know if that's the norm, but they buckle their hands when they're going to, elementary school kids, they stand in line to go to the to the cafeteria for lunch, and the teacher or substitute teacher walks them there, and they stand in line, okay, and they're taught to buckle their hands so they don't go pushing one another, but they buckle their hands behind their back, and buckle them. They hold their hands, they're not pushing on one another, and bubble their mouth, okay, do your bubble. Bubble your mouth. That means you're not talking while you're walking down those halls and interrupting classes that are still going, that don't have lunch that period. Okay? And we're taught these things. Stand in line, wait your turn, buckle and bubble. Don't interrupt other classes. Don't push people in line. And we're taught these. But some people out there seem to forget them. I can tell you. You hear my thing here? I can tell you that I have been in stores so many times, especially the past few years. I am not new to this planet, so it's been before. Before now, not as much did this happen, but lately, oh my goodness. Going to a store, big store, little store, doesn't matter, whatever, it's a store. And I'm standing like I'm, doing the shopping cart, and I get up to something, and I go to reach it, and someone put their hand in front of my face to grab that same item. I had one of those people who were, I didn't have, but one of these people who do it for, they go and they gather for people to go deliver. They gather all the groceries and everything, and then the drivers come and pick it up and take it to the people's house. Grocery deliveries. And she tried to grab the thing I had actually in my hand. I think it was a summer squash, the yellow summer squash. And she tried to grab it out of my hand. And I looked at her and said, "Excuse me?" I mean, what nerve. She said, "Oh, I didn't mean to do that." I'm like, "What did you mean to do?" She put her hand in my face first, and then tried to grab the thing that was in my hand. I mean, I'm a person, I don't like the whole thing of some people would say, like if you're a Christian, those quick to anger. I'm not really at anger. I'm just going to tell them. I mean, because I did so much substitute teaching that we learned to say buckle and bubble. We learned to say stand in line, wait your turn, So my reaction is from there. I'm going to say, and I've actually said this to people in grocery stores that would do stuff like that. I'd say, stand in line and wait your turn. It's like, they remember, they kind of back off. Yes, ma'am. I got a sense of humor with it too. But I know there was one guy, I mean, he was just unbelievable, coming at me like I needed to move out of his way. And I turned around and looked at him. I said, stand in line and wait your turn. I'm serious. It was not the only time I ever did it. Now, Adam, however, he's older than I. We met and married when I was 18. I don't talk about his age, but he's older than I. And he is more, he retired. He says September will be a couple of years. But he was electrical engineer, design. He designed things like, in the past, at first it was more like circuitry for cell phones when it was all new and all. And he designed, all that stuff. And all that stuff was so hush-hush back then. Probably still is now. But anyway, he's not so much on social situations. He never really had to do anything because I was the multitasker, and I did a lot of the shopping and stuff like that. He never really did. He really never did do all that kind of stuff. And now that he's older, now that he's home, he wants to go grocery shopping. He kind of likes doing it. I say more power to you, dude. More power to you. I've had enough of that in my life. But he gets shocked because he had never seen it. And the same thing with doctors. He had one doctor for the past 20 years. And that doctor, was his friend, as he called him. But then he started going to other doctors, and he said, what is this stuff going on? And with people in the doctor's office, work there, the doctors, the nurses, whatever, how they treat people. And not all of them, of course, but he's noticing it himself. I've noticed for many years. But one thing I was going to use as an example, and this is a lame example. I'm saying it's lame. That happened to him, and I was with him. And when we went to one of these, like here in Texas, especially this part of Texas, usually you have these big, and Texas is a big state. We have plenty of, property. So, they have these big convenience stores. Here, there's several of them, but mainly the ones that are across the street from one another is QT, that's Quick Trip, and the other one is Racetrack. These are convenience stores that have lots of gas pumps, and lots of, stuff inside. Big. It's big. There's also that Buc-ee's. I've never been to Buc-ee's. Or maybe I went once to Buc-ee's. And, anyway, they have these big things, and they're right across the street, just like CVS and, what's the other one called? Walgreens, right across from one another here in Texas. Anyway, so Adam goes in there, and they have all these, it's so big that they have all these coffee machines, the ones that you decide which kind of coffee you want, and then you put your cup there, and, it pours whichever one. And they're side by side. They usually have, I don't know how many. I don't drink coffee, so Adam does, but I don't. So I'm not really all that into it. But this time we walked in, and I wasn't going to buy anything. And I was standing next to him. And he walked up to one of them, and he was kind of like, what do they have on this one? He was trying to, he wasn't there an hour. He wasn't even there for like even a minute yet. He was just looking which coffee they had. He was about to push it. He's going to put his cup up there. I think he had his cup in one hand. And he was about to push which one he wants. And some guy, it's probably like 35, 40, say 40 years old, dressed like you would think a manager would dress, like maybe in a warehouse or something. I don't know. But he walked up on the other side of Adam and put his cup right there where Adam's standing, about to push the button, and the guy pushed his button for himself. I'm not kidding. And all the other ones were empty. Nobody was using any of the other ones. And I was standing there. I don't remember. I was on YouTube back then too. It was a few years ago. And I don't know if I said anything, but knowing me, probably did. Adam was just stunned. What? He was getting his coffee. He was about to push the button, and the guy did that real fast so he could get his. And the guy did not say, excuse me, nothing. He just got his once it finished, and he walked off. Nothing. But I think I did say, excuse me, what's your problem? I'm not a quiet person, but I know it kind of worries Adam, when I say something. I'm not really quick to anger, because it's not really anger. Like I said, it's something I was taught by teaching kids. I was taught in school, and I was teaching kids, and so it comes automatically. And just pointing out, that's inappropriate behavior. You don't do that, period. And I know I'm a rules person, but I was a career student for over 20 years. You want to talk about rules? And that's after, those 12 years. Well, actually, I also did kindergarten, through 12th grade. And then you go to college for undergraduate and graduate, another 20 plus years. That's a lot. You're being graded, you're being told, you're being taught, you're being, You have to follow the rules. Yeah. And I'm a social behavioral scientist on top of it. I know what is the norm. I know what is socially acceptable. And I'm not saying everybody has to act perfect. But if you're going to go walk up to somebody and put your coffee cup in front of them where they are standing about to get their coffee, what is your problem? You got a few screws loosed up there? You know, are you that arrogant that you're a manager and everybody's got to move aside for you? This is Texas. That's a good way of getting hurt. Don't mess with Texans. Well, actually, I was probably the only Texan there. That guy may have been, but Adam grew up in a country across the globe, and he knows you don't do that. I mean, really, the nerve of some people. The only time I ever really excused anybody for doing something dumb like that, and it was somebody from my ethnic group. It was a young woman, and I had just walked up and I was about to take something off the shelf, one of these big grocery stores. And I mean, this is Texas. We have lots of land. Nobody likes to be crowded. If you grew up in Texas, we like our wide open spaces. So don't come and crowd me. Don't come stand next to me. And this woman walked up and she had a baby, an infant, in the little car seat, covered up, and she bent down in front of me. I'm standing there. She bent down in front of me and got something from the bottom shelf. I forgave her easily, quickly. Yeah, I forgive everybody eventually. But I didn't say anything to her because she had an infant. She was a new mommy. Okay, how many of us know what poor new mommies? If we're not personally, we have a pretty good idea. That's rough. And there was one other place, there was a woman, she was obviously a new mommy, and she smelled so bad. I mean, it smelled like she was a new mommy. Okay. And I debated with myself if I should say anything, because, people look at me and they think, at my age, I'm more like one of those, not the only kind, but one of those, everybody's grandma. I look like a grandma. I really do. And a nice, sweet grandma, not a mean one, a nice, sweet one. And I debated, I didn't say anything to her, but I debated about saying, girlfriend, go home and, get a babysitter, take a shower, take a nap, But, I mean, some people can't afford that. I didn't say anything to her, but I felt sorry for her. I felt empathy. There was two different stores even. Two different people. But, that's normal. Feeling something for some total stranger. Feeling good. You don't make their life more miserable. Okay. But this guy in this store, apparently he thought he was some hotshot. And to put his cup in the coffee thing and push the button for himself with all the other ones open. Really. Seriously. But the society these days, oh, my alarm's going off here on my cell phone. The society these days, too much. Not everybody, but too much of this happens. Just that's a lame example. I could find worse. But, and the stuff that you watch on TV, do they pick? Oh, yes, of course they pick. The ones that are the most bizarre for like reality TV, the most bizarre, really. And aren't you feeling it's oversaturated? It's too much. Whatever happened to normal? Is there any show that stuff is normal anymore? Like I said, I was never much on watching TV until the year 2000. Not the year 2000, the year 220. My goodness, 2020. And I have a rare health condition, so I was one of those more vulnerable. I had to stay at home. I'm leaving out the word. But I had it before it was commonly known, as I found out later on, that I had it in February of 2020. And I looked it up, there was only one case reported at that time. It was bad, I can tell you that. But and it was months before stuff came out. And I had that one, what was it called? It kept coming back. The symptoms here and there. It didn't just end like, other ones. It just kept coming back. So, yeah. Anyway, that's when I really started watching TV. And to tell you the truth, it was probably the last couple of years that, since 2023, so 3 years, I've had some weird health condition after another. Not weird, they're known, but still, for me, it's like when it rains, it pours, back to back to back to back. And a lot of times I'm at home watching TV because, like, I just got over pneumonia. It was a month and a half I had it, which I had pneumonia a few times when I was young. And it was like once a year, or once, maybe even twice a year, I would have a really bad thing that basically developed pneumonia. So, but this time, woof, this was recent. I couldn't even walk, but like, I had a walking pneumonia. But I couldn't walk but maybe 10, 15 feet in the house. And it took me forever just to get to the other side of the house because I have to stop and wait and catch my breath and go on, and so much, But anyway, so I'm seeing all these things on TV, and I'm like, I'm disgusted with it. I want some good things to see. Decent people. You know what I'm saying? And why does every show that's about a mystery has to be about one thing? I said that, and then I like watching Murdoch Mysteries. It's a Canadian show, Murdoch Mysteries, and I've been watching it. I think they're on season 19 now. And season 19 seems a little different. But I was thinking that the other day, and then I watched the most recent one, and I went, no way. There was no usual thing about the mystery on that one. There were mysteries, just other kind of mysteries. I was like, wow, all these years I've never seen one on there. That 19th season, never seen one where it wasn't. And it was such a welcome change, to tell you the truth. And on that note, I'm going to wrap it up. Talk to you on another video. Bye.